Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, David Gibbs joins us. He's the chairman of Prepare the Vote, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday. Trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're delighted to welcome to the program for the first time David Gibbs. He is representing Prepare the Vote. It is a pleasure to have you on the program. Thank you so much for flying in today.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for the opportunity to be here.
All right, so I want to have basically the same conversation we had off the air,
Okay.
on the air, in terms of the setup here, which is that I personally believe that our voting system is for the most part fine. I mean, obviously any system, there are problems and they have to be resolved, but I don't believe that there is a statewide, local, or national major problem with elections in this country, because I think it would have to be an incredible conspiracy between every judge, every district attorney, every sheriff would all have to be in on it. But the other side of the coin for me is that the public is very concerned about the veracity of elections, and I agree that everywhere you go, you have to show ID. I mean, you almost to the point, and I'm joking here, you can't break wind without having to show ID. So the thought that you don't have to show ID when you go to vote doesn't make sense to me when we have such concern about elections. Now, sir, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. You know, there are 24 states that already require people to show, all voters to show a photo ID. There are 12 others that require folks to show some form of ID. It doesn't necessarily need to be a photo ID. You know, part of the things about elections, I kind of equate it sometimes to sports. I like a sports analogy, which is, you watch a football game and there's a winner and there's a loser. Right? And there are rules that have to be followed. And as long as the rules are followed, and everybody knows that the rules were followed, and the game was called fair and square, when, if you come out on the losing side, you can sit there and go, okay, we played fair and square and it didn't go our way today. Well, on an election side, if you win, hey, it worked for you. You're all happy. But if you didn't win, you kind of go, okay, what happened? Why didn't I win? And if you see something that raises an eyebrow, well, then it raises a question about, well, what was the legitimacy of this? And so there are many issues in voting that people have concerns with. One of them is people voting and not showing an ID, not verifying that, yes, you are Dave Gibbs, you are Sam Shad, okay, and verifying that you are that person. Is there widespread fraud in that regard? Well, there's two answers to that. There's two ways to look at it. Number one, you don't know because you never ask. And number two is, it doesn't need to be widespread. We had a race in North Las Vegas where I live, primary election for city council where the second and third place people tied. One fraudulent vote can change that race. 2 years later, my city councilman lost by 1 vote. The incumbent city councilman lost by 1 vote. So so I think it's incumbent upon the government and those running the elections to make sure that everybody who's voting is who they say they are.
All right, so I know when I go to vote in person, and I do like to go vote in person, and I want to encourage the viewers and listeners to do the same, because 99% of the people who are manning the polling stations are volunteers.
Right.
And I really appreciate you for being part of the process, and I appreciate them for being part of the process. And I don't want to see them getting a whole bunch of grief for being volunteers for what is basically one of the most important things that we as Americans do. And when you sign on the dotted line there, the signature is supposed to match. If there's any concern, you're shaking your head. I'm saying
I
that for
agree
the
with
people on the
you.
radio.
It's supposed to match.
But so there are things in place. And one of the things, and I don't believe this, and I don't want to call anybody a liar, but there was a gentleman from the ACLU, I think it was Todd Story when he was in charge of the ACLU, who said 10% of the voters in Nevada, or potential voters in Nevada, don't have ID. I think that is an absurd number. And I don't like paying taxes any more than anybody else does, but I am willing that if somebody doesn't have an ID and wants an ID to vote or for anything else, I would be happy to increase my taxes to be able to pay for that. So, but, we have so much distrust in the election process at this point in time that I'm in favor of passing this repair the vote.
Thank you.
But
So am I.
but it's not because I think that the elections are corrupt at this point in time. And the other thing is that it concerns me that we have gotten into such a morass here that there are people who are not going to go and vote because they think their vote doesn't count. And I don't see how that benefits anybody. It doesn't benefit the Republicans, it doesn't benefit the Democrats, and it certainly doesn't benefit the nonpartisans. So I think if we get this done, and I say we, I mean you, because I'm not involved.
Well, it's up to the voters now. But
Right,
yes.
right. That this will take a lot of the concern out of it, whether it's needed or not.
This is, and that's a big part of it is people need to have faith in the system.
Yes, they do.
It's like I talked about when you're watching the football. You need faith that the rules will be followed and the rules are followed, and that all the players are playing by the same rules. The players in this case being the voters, and so that's part of it. And, the other part of this is not necessarily just showing a photo ID at the polls, but if you mail your ballot in, it's going to require those folks who mail their ballot in to put the last 4 of their driver's license or the last 4 of their social security number. And because right now, and I understand the technology has changed, and I don't have the latest data, but 4 years ago when they started the automatic mail-in balloting, the manufacturer of the machine that reads the signatures only verified the machine to 50%. Now, and in Clark County, they dialed it down to 40%, which means 4 out of 10 guarantee that signature is accurate. And at the same time, we had tens of thousands of ballots laying around apartment buildings. People were getting ballots for people at their homes for people who had moved out 20 years ago. And so you had all of these mail ballots floating around, a signature verification process that was not necessarily as firm and verifiable as people would like it to be. And so, again, all that does is, like you said, that brings up questions in people's minds.
Right.
And we're trying to end this by requiring the voter to put the last 4 of their driver's license or the last 4 of their social security number. This will restore some of that faith and give verification that, yes, that person is actually that person.
And you know, I mean, to me, that's the whole thing here, is restoring the faith in the election for everybody, so that nobody thinks that their vote doesn't count.
Right.
And that's the concern. I mean, look, you know, Barbara Sagaski, you can't, you know, I've got to figure she's a friend of yours, or you have a relationship with her.
I've known her for a while. I
Okay,
mean, I have not had much contact. You know, it's nothing against Barbara. She's doing her things. I'm doing my things.
No,
We
but
just
she
haven't
is
run
about
into
as
each other.
conservative as you can get.
She's there. Yes.
Okay, and she was content with the results of the election under her control when she was Secretary of State. That said a lot to me about her. It said a lot to me about her willingness to not plan on going forward with, you know, elective office, because she would be attacked for that. But she said the elections were clean. They were, in fact, in the last go around, there was only one person that the Secretary of State's office found that had voted fraudulently in their wife's name. You know, when I had Secretary of State Cisco Aguilar on the program, he said it was a constitutional thing that you didn't have to produce ID. I just think that the public, in their minds, because of the media, because of organizations like yours, organizations who are against what you're trying to do, they have created such distrust in the public, in the voting system, that we need to have something like Repair the Vote, to where you have to show an ID. So it's kind of fun, you know, there are a lot of people that watch and listen to this program and go, well, Sam's a Democrat, no, Sam's a Republican. Nobody can figure it out, because as in this situation, I'm on both sides of the fence here. I think the elections are kosher, but I also think that this is needed.
Well, you know, and one of the things that's happened in Nevada is, prior to 2020, we didn't have a lot of these questions. I mean, there's always been some issues, and back in, you know, but in 2020, when the legislature changed the laws and did the automatic mail-in balloting, and changed, that was the big change, obviously, and then some of the other things they did regarding, you know, how long it takes them to, they have to determine the results of the election and accepting ballots after the polls are closed. None of that existed before 2020.
Well, hang on, no, but if you were in line, at a polling station, and the polling station time had gone by, you were still allowed to vote.
Absolutely, they would. Yeah, I mean, if you were in line, a polling station closes at 7 o'clock, and you were in line, they would come out there and say, okay, this is it. But anybody who arrived after that was turned away.
Absolutely.
All right.
I just want to make the point that.
No, I agree. And it was the same thing with, I mean, but with absentee ballots, as they were called then. And I'm very familiar with this. I was in the Air Force for 25 years. I voted absentee from the time I was 18 until I was 46. Okay? And I never missed an election. So I understand the requirement was, in almost every state in the country, is you had to have your ballot in by the close of polls on Election Day. And in Nevada, that's the way it was in 2018. And then they changed it in 2020. All right? And to where, yes, you're still supposed to have your ballot in by the close of polls on Election Day, but if you mail it and the post office can't determine what the postmark is, we'll accept it up to 4 days after. Well, there you go. Now you've raised a question in people's minds. All right, and how do you know that that actually happened? But that's another subject.
Well, hang on. Do you know what's going on up here in northern Nevada with the post office and them wanting to reroute the mail to Sacramento?
And that's a problem.
No kidding.
Yes.
And our delegation is all over it. The Postal Workers Union, who I've been in contact with, is against it, and not just because of elections and the fact that we have snow and we can have crashes. Look at what happened on the 15 with lithium battery fires. That if you, for some reason, the post office decided to send your mail to LA before sending it back to Vegas, that could be another disaster in the making there. And we're fighting it like crazy. So, no, I mean...
But there are, you know, but the whole point that you raised, which is what's important, is people need to have faith in the system.
Absolutely.
You know,
we need to restore the faith, because I think they had it. For the most part, people had it. And by the way, let me bring up another side topic here. I knew this was going to be a fun conversation.
Okay.
You know, it's the voting machines. Now, you know, Dominion is making a lot of money from the lawsuit they won against Fox, because obviously there were no problems with the Dominion machines, that they were all supposed to be fixed, and apparently the courts decided and Fox paid $750 million, on that. But the idea that technology is how we live these days, and yet people want to go back to paper ballots, that is insane to me. I mean, Chase Bank, who I happen to have several credit cards with, is so good that if there's any hint of fraud, I get an email, I get a text, I get a phone call. I mean, it's unbelievable how fast they are. Were you in the Italian Riviera yesterday? No, I'm in Reno. Okay, we'll send you a new card. I don't know why we don't have systems in place to be able to verify it so that people don't have to think that we're going back to paper ballots and abacuses for doing our banking. Why are we not in the today and future?
Well, I'm not as familiar with some of that process because I've focused on what I've focused on.
Sure.
But a lot of us have been hacked.
Yes, me, multiple times.
And one of the things.
But that's my point, is that the
there's
banks
a lot
have
of distrust. Yeah, see, banks. Banks are in a kind of a different situation. They're run by business people. They're not necessarily, for example, and elections are run by people who have a vested interest in the outcome. Because the people running the elections are the politicians. Okay, the people deciding, in Clark County back in 2000 it was, when Stavros Anthony was running for county commission.
Right.
And that election was close. And the registrar of voters said, I've got 130 something ballots that are questionable. And he actually, I believe, recommended that they redo that race. And the county commission, who's responsible for certifying the election, said, nope, we're going to certify it anyway. So the question comes into play, why did you certify that if you had more questionable votes than you had votes that decided that were the difference between the two candidates? Why not do a do-over? And it raises the question in the fact that, guess what? All 7 of the people voting were of the same party who the person who won.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back with Dave Gibbs after this timeout.
Welcome to the Winnemucca Big R.
Hi, I'm John Walker. Welcome to Big R Lovelock.
Hi, I'm Rich Martin. Welcome to Fallon Big R.
My name is Braden. Welcome to Big R Fernley.
Hi, I'm Kelly. Welcome to Big R Sparks.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the air conditioning back on today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why sweat for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your air conditioning fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
Hit the open road on a brand new Harley or win a bundle of cash during the $250,000 Harley-Davidson giveaways at Carson Valley Inn. Thousands in weekly giveaways, plus multiple grand prize winners including cash and 7 brand new Harleys. Now at the Carson Valley Inn.
They want us to believe we only have 2 options. That's just not working anymore. I've never been a follower. I'm a businessman and entrepreneur. I'm ready to forge a new path to secure our future. One that keeps Northern Nevada free, fair, and wild. A path that means freedom for all, including affordable housing.
I'm Greg Kidd, and I approve this message because I'm not from either political party. I'm for Nevada.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Dave Gibbs. He's representing Repair the Vote. The idea is that you have to show an ID, driver's license, or if you're doing mail-in ballots, you have to give the last 4 digits of your social or the last 4 digits of your Nevada driver's license. Even though we disagree on the reasoning, we agree on the idea that this is a good idea. One of the things that always, in a way, amuses me is when people complain about people challenging election results. And I think that the majority of the public doesn't realize that, especially in every presidential election, there are teams of attorneys on both sides ready to jump on this. And I mean, you know, you can go back to Bush versus Gore to see how much money was spent on attorneys on both sides. I mean, it was unbelievable. But I mean, every election. So that's nothing that people should be upset about.
No, I agree. And you know, one of the comments that we made in the last segment is the fact of people having faith in the process. And if there are part of this whole attorneys being involved is to making sure that everybody's got that the outcome, people can have faith that the outcome is accurate and the outcome was done within the law and with, you know, as we said in sports, in the rules. Everybody follow the rules. And that, you know, and if there's the potential for, you know, somebody didn't do things right, then they want to get that addressed. You know, our government today has become so much more involved in everything that you know, the outcome of election can change things from what kind of gas stove you can have in your house, because that's where we're at today.
Right, but maybe if politicians would look at the amount of debt the country has, we're at $35 trillion, and it's under both parties.
Absolutely.
So you know, it's great when, you know, your senator or congressperson comes home and says, I'm bringing home the bacon. They don't use that term, but they're bringing home the bacon.
Sure.
But the reality is that it's our money they're spending, and it's completely out of control, and it's going to come crashing here pretty soon.
Well, that's, you know, that is the concern. I've read a couple of things, you know, and, you know, people have their doomsday clocks and their times and stuff, and, you know, they talk about Social Security is going to go broke in about 10 years. It's been going broke.
That's just scaremongering.
Yeah, it is. It's been going broke for 10 years for the last 30.
Right, but you can
fix it. I mean, those things are all fixable.
You were supposed to be dead by the time you collected Social Security and Medicare.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the actuarial chart.
Yeah.
And we live longer. Let's take another quick break and we'll be right back.
Okay.
All of us have served our country, so it's important to have a leader that takes care of our needs.
Jackie Rosen's record speaks for itself.
Senator Rosen has made mental health care for returning veterans a priority.
Jackie is working to keep the VA strong.
I mean, the work that she did towards the burn pits, she worked bipartisanly to get the PACT Act through.
You know, Jackie understands what we've gone through. She gets it.
Wynn Senate is responsible for the content of this ad.
Story County is leading Nevada. Home of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, Google, Tesla, Panasonic, and other world-leading companies. Story County provides thousands of tech, advanced manufacturing, and logistics careers for Nevadans. We're diversifying and driving Nevada's economy and generating millions in tax revenue and billions in economic activity across northern Nevada. Story County is leading Nevada's future.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Dave Gibbs. He is representing Repair the Vote. You know, here's the thing to me. Do we not want as many people voting as possible?
Absolutely. I want every single registered vote. I want every eligible voter in the United States to vote. I'd love to see that.
Because it doesn't make sense to me for either side to put anything in place that stops people voting, because even if it's a benefit to them this time around, it's going to be a loss to them the next time around. You know, Harry Reid and the filibuster for judges is the perfect example of that. It worked for him to be able to get a lot of judges confirmed when they weren't going to go through, but then the Supreme Court, boom, now you got another whole story.
Yep. So yeah, you know, the pendulum swings in politics. It always has, and it always has in this country. And sometimes it's swung harder one way than the other, but it always swings. And if you write a rule to benefit yourself when you're in charge, guess what? Sooner or later, you're not going to be in charge anymore. So,
do you think, just quick answer to this.
Sure.
Do you think anytime soon, and when I say soon, within the next 5 years maybe, that we're going to start moving back towards the middle?
I think it's already happening. You know, I equate the U.S. to a very, very big ship with a very small rudder. And it takes a long time to turn that rudder, and once that rudder turns, it takes a long time for that ship to turn. But I read articles and I listen to things and see reports where there are younger people in this country that are an awful lot more conservative than people believe. And so that pendulum is swinging slowly. You know, and we'll see where it goes.
And we are out of time.
Okay, vote yes on 7, by the way. That's my parting comment.
We should have you back.
Okay.
And there's lots more things to discuss, but what a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for the opportunity. Like I said, everybody, vote yes on question 7 for voter ID.
And we'll be right back.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
Come celebrate Tamarack Casino's 23rd anniversary with $50,000 in giveaways this September. $5,000 big cash winners every Saturday. And a $10,000 big cash winner during the grand finale celebration on September 28th. Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
It happens. And when it does, there's UMC Quick Care.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers. We'll see you on the next broadcast.